In this video, we're going to take a look at an orange shimmering ink by Diamine Inferno Orange. Now, as always, there's timestamps down below so you can skip around, but if you've got the time, I'd appreciate you checking out the entire video. Also, down in the description is a link to the orange ink playlist, so if you want to see more of them, perhaps without some shimmer, you can find that there. I'm an ink guy, and let's get into the first writing sample done on 90 GSM Clairfontaine. No bleeding, no ghosting. Now I will show it here. Well, see if I lay this one flat, this one's having a little bit of trouble with some of the shimmer that comes through. We have no feather, spread, halo sheen. We do get to see some shading going on in the 1.1, in the extra fine, and in the medium. Now, the extra fine took 6 seconds to dry, the medium took 8 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both is showing that there's some color variation. I'm trying to see if it can come through, but just so much of it reflects. We do get color variation in here. This might be one worth not having some of the shimmer. The smear test you can't recover if you smear while you're writing. I've really decided that I am going to be working my way through all of the shimmer inks that I have here this year, because some of them are great, some of them are not. Let's get that work out there. To have a range of experience with this ink, all of the writing samples are done with a Jinhao 159 with a 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a medium, and a Jinhao X750 with an extra fine. Then a Fountain Pen Revolution Himalaya with their flex nib was inked up, used for a day, and used to take the notes for this video. The next writing sample is done on 52 GSM Tomoe River. Now we have no bleeding except here at the scrubby. There's no real ghosting, which is kind of nice. Hey, this one shows up. I think it's got something to do with how white that Clairfontaine is, and that's the one with a little more trouble. And I have to always remember to adjust my lights just a little bit for this. We have no feather, spread, halo sheen. We do get some shading in the stub. We get some shading in the extra fine and in the medium. This shading even manages to show its way through the shimmer that's there. Now the extra fine took 10 seconds to dry. The medium took 13. Scrubby of the medium shows more color variation than the extra fine, and I think it showed its way through a little better in the writing. The smear test, there's no recovering if you smear while you're writing. I agree with Vita. There's a lot to learn by doing multiple chromatography. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. A line of ink is put down, and then it's put into water for 10 to 15 seconds. Now we see the gold shimmer has stayed at the bottom. As it moves up, we see this kind of yellow at the bottom of the orange, and then it's a nice kind of burnt orange at the top. Very interesting, but that's why we're getting some of this shading. The one on the right that's let dry for 10 minutes before it's dunked in the water, you see more of that yellow at the bottom moving slowly up. All of that burnt orange very much at the top. Even some of that orange moved slower, changing the tone of the yellow as it moved. Now, I really don't expect resistance for this ink, but that's because it's a Diamine. The next writing sample is done on 80 GSM Rhodia dot pad. No bleeding, no ghosting. So you see some of it, you get a whole lot more of that shine, making it harder. Some of it, not as much of the shine. The lighting for this is just so difficult to have right. We have no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. Yes, we do get shading in the stub, in the extra fine, no problem. Even in the medium, even with the shimmer. This is a great orange right here. The extra fine took 6 seconds to dry. Medium took 9. Scrubby for both give us plenty of color variation. We are getting it in the writing. And the smear test, there's a maybe you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it may be to clean from your pen. The smear is allowed to dry for 3 days before testing it. Now, just seeing this picture, you can see that this is quite difficult to photograph, as many of these shimmer inks have been. Looking at the highlighter, I would not use this in a note-taking situation. That is flat out gross right there. I don't want to destroy my notes, so I wouldn't use it, but you can do whatever you want. Water is reactivating and lifting most of it, but you are seeing some of the orange still there. Pen flush does exactly what water does, nothing more, nothing less. but it only took water to get it out of my pen. 1/3 bleach solution is completely removing it from the paper, even though you're not going to need it to clean your pen. The next writing sample is done on original Crown Mill paper. No bleeding, except at the scrubby, but that doesn't really count. No ghosting. We have no feather, spread, halo sheen. We don't have any shading in the stub, but we do get darker spots that are showing their way through with the extra fine. We even have some of it going on in the medium, and this is a little bit more absorbent paper, and it's a laid paper, it's textured, so sometimes it's a little harder to get all of that to show through. The extra fine took 4 seconds to dry, the medium took 6. The scrubby for both show a little color variation. I think it looks much better in the writing. Smear test, you could not recover if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average viscosity was 2.5, and the realm of normal was 2.1 to 2.9. Diamine's Inferno Orange has a viscosity of 1.9, making this a wet ink. If you're interested in how the viscosity and all that's done, then down in the description is a link to that video. Now let's take a look at White Line's paper. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. The only thing that's going on is at the scrubby, which we don't tend to count against it. We have no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade in the stub, no shade in, oops, my bad, starting to see the shading in the medium there on brown and there on fox. So it shades in the medium and it definitely shades in the extra fine. The extra fine took 2 seconds to dry, the medium took 3 seconds to dry. Still looks really good. Much more absorbent paper. It's not known to be fountain pen friendly, and we're doing really good here. Scrubby for both are showing some color variation. We are getting it. In the smear test, you probably could recover if you smear while you're writing. The other noticeable thing is that you really don't see the shimmer at all on this particular paper, but it is much more absorbent. For the inks tested, the average dry time was 17 seconds, and the realm of normal was 13 to 21 seconds. Diamine's Inferno Orange has an average dry time of 9 seconds, so this is a pretty fast drying ink. The last writing sample is done on Franklin Christoph paper. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. Again, this is a much more absorbent paper than we started with. We have no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, great shading in the extra fine, pretty darn good shading in the medium, not so much in the stub. The extra fine dried in 3 seconds while the medium dried in 5. The extra fine scrubby shows a lot of color variation. The medium shows none, although it shows up really nice in the writing. And the smear test, I do not think you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. Instead of finding inks that look like Diamine's Inferno Orange, I'd prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I decided to go with a nice turquoise, and I chose Diamine's Havasu Turquoise. And the reason is, when I was at Lake Havasu, I felt like I was melting in a hotel room with the air conditioner on. It was so blazing hot that Inferno Orange for Havasu go together. If you'd prefer a different complement color, then down in the description, links to those playlists. You're going to find those there. So what do I think of Diamine's Inferno Orange? The shimmer is right for this ink. And the ink, this isn't shimmer added to a loser ink. The orange without the shimmer is a great orange. Well done all around. So what nib and pen are going to give the best writing experience with this ink? A broad wet pen. It really puts the shimmer down well. You get nice shading, looks gorgeous. I hope you got something out of this video, and in the next video, we're going to take a look at KWZ's Foggy Green.